Think about how you interact with your phone or computer every single day. You're probably tapping icons, right? Clicking buttons, using menus.
Yeah, all visual stuff.
Exactly. That's the graphical user interface, or GUI. It's how we talk to our tech using pictures instead of just typing commands.
Right, not like the old command line interface, that sort of black box approach.
Yeah. And while we all expect our apps to work functionally,
Sure, the button does the thing it's supposed to do.
this deep dive is really focused on what makes those visual elements work well. We're digging into our sources on GUI testing.
That's it. We want to understand why checking how an application looks and, responds visually is just so critical.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What exactly is GUI testing? Our sources define it as, well, a specific type of software testing.
It's not about the underlying code so much.
No, it's about checking those visual bits, the menus, the buttons, icons, the whole layout you actually see.
Precisely. The goal is verifying that all those screens and controls work according to the specs, the design plan.
Like if you land on a website, Guru99.com is mentioned in our source.
Yeah, good example.
Everything you see there, the layout, the images, that's the GUI.
And GUI testing checks that it's all working right. And importantly, how the user expects it to work.
So not just did the click register, but does it look like a button? Is it where I expect it?
Did the picture actually load?
Right.
Yeah. There are some basic initial checks.
What are those fundamentals then?
Well, the source highlights things like making sure images show up okay across different browsers,
Okay.
checking that links actually go somewhere, buttons react when clicked. Basic stuff, but essential.
But it goes deeper than that, I imagine.
Oh, much deeper. Think about this. What happens when you resize an application window?
Yeah. Does everything just squash together or overlap?
Exactly. That's a huge part of GUI testing. Our source really stresses this. When the screen size changes, images and text need to adapt properly.
Right. No shrinking images into fuzziness or text getting cut off or just chaos.
No visual chaos allowed. It has to stay usable, whatever the screen size.
Okay, I get testing if a button works. That's functionality. But why spend so much effort just on the visuals? Isn't good code enough?
That really gets to the heart of why it's needed, our source says. Think like a user who's never seen this app before.
First impressions, right?
Absolutely. Their first impression is the UI. It often decides if they'll even bother trying to use the application or just leave.
Like meeting someone, how they look, how they present themselves.
It makes a difference. If the UI looks cluttered, confusing, hard to figure out.
People will just bounce, find something else.
Exactly. User comfort, ease of understanding, those are key.
Yeah.
A bad GUI, one that's buggy or just poorly designed visually.
Means the user probably won't come back, no matter how brilliant the code underneath is.
That's what the source suggests. They'll likely abandon it.
Okay, so it's crucial for adoption and usability. What exactly gets checked then? Is there like a big checklist?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a checklist. Our source lays out quite a few things. Fundamentals like the size, the position, width, length of elements on the screen.
Every button, every box.
Pretty much. And checking input fields. Do they accept the right characters?
Yeah.
Numbers only, letters allowed, that kind of thing.
Makes sense. Don't want to type your name where your phone number should go. What else?
Can you actually do the app's functions using the GI? That gets checked. Do error messages pop up correctly when things go wrong? Are they helpful?
Okay.
Also, visual structure. Is there clear separation between different parts of the screen? Makes it easier to follow.
And the look and feel itself. Fonts, colors.
Big time. Font readability is huge. Text alignment, does it look neat or sloppy? Even the colors used for fonts and warnings are easy to see, appropriate. Images need to be clear, sharp, and aligned properly too.
Wow, that's granular. And you mentioned screen sizes before.
Critical point. Testing the positioning of everything across different screen resolutions is non-negotiable today. Desktops, tablets, phones. It has to work everywhere.
So how is this all done? Are people just clicking around manually?
Well, that's one way. Our source lists 3 main techniques. First is manual-based testing.
Just like it sounds.
Yep. Testers sit there, look at the screens, compare them to the requirements doc, click through everything by hand.
Sounds potentially tedious, especially for big apps.
It can be very time-consuming, which leads to the second method, record and replay.
Automation.
Exactly. You use tools. QTP is mentioned as an example that records your actions as you use the trauma. Clicking, typing, everything.
Like making a macro.
Sort of, yeah. It records your script. Then the tool can replay those exact steps automatically over and over to check if the app still behaves the same way.
Ah, okay. That saves a lot of manual clicking. And the third type?
That's model-based testing. It's a bit more abstract. You build graphical models of how the system is supposed to behave.
Models? Like flowcharts?
Kind of.
Yeah.
The source mentions charts showing system states and decision tables, which map inputs to expected outputs.
And how does that help testing?
These models help generate test cases automatically. The big advantage, the source says, is finding weird or undesirable states the GUI might get into, maybe states the designers didn't even think of.
Interesting. So it's proactive, trying to predict problems. Now, tools, you mentioned QTP. Are there options that don't, break the bank?
Yeah.
Open source, maybe?
Absolutely. The source lists several popular open source tools. There's AutoHotkey, Selenium, which is huge in web testing, Robot Framework. Seekly is interesting. It uses image recognition. Water, Dojo Toolkit.
Yeah.
Lots of options with different licenses like GPL, Apache, MIT, BSD.
Good to know there are accessible tools. To make this really concrete, can we walk through some specific examples, like actual test cases?
Sure. Our source gives plenty. So we talked about checking size, position, width, height. That's a whole set of test cases for each element.
Right. Pixel-perfect placement.
Testing error messages not just if they appear, but what they say, how they look. Checking screen sections are distinct. Font readability checks.
Color checks, too.
Yep. Font colors, warning message colors, image clarity and alignment, definitely. Even basic stuff like checking for spelling mistakes on screen.
Spelling. Okay, I didn't think of that one.
It all contributes to the impression. The source also mentions more subjective tests. Does the interface feel frustrating? Is it, attractive? Does it look professional?
Almost like a usability review mixed with the design critique.
Kinda, yeah. And checking scroll bars work right, if they exist. Making sure disabled fields look disabled and are disabled. Image sizes, heading alignment, even the color of hyperlinks. It's exhaustive.
Let's try that demo screen example from the source. It had fields like source folder, package, name.
Right, and modifiers with radio buttons, public, private, etc. And a superclass dropdown with a browse button.
Got it. So what tests run on that?
Okay, alignment first. Are the source folder, package, name text boxes lined up?
Simple check.
Are the browse buttons right next to their fields? Then the radio buttons.
Yeah.
Are there 4? Correct labels. Lined up. Does the mouse pointer change to a hand when you hover over them? Visual feedback. Good.
For the drop-down, is the browse button aligned? Crucially, can you type in the drop-down? You shouldn't be able to.
Right, only select.
And error handling. If you mess up, does a clear error message appear, maybe in red, with useful text?
Makes sense. What else for that screen?
Testing the radio buttons themselves, can you only select one at a time? That's key.
Standard behavior.
Can you use the Tab E key to move between all the fields logically? Does each page have a proper title in the browser tab? Is the text on the page aligned well? Do you get a confirmation message after saving something?
Wow. It really drills down into every little interaction. But surely this isn't easy. What are the big challenges?
Well, the source points out a big one: frequent changes, especially in regression testing when you retest after updates. The GUI changes often.
So is that difference a bug or a new feature?
Exactly. If the changes aren't documented well, it's hard to tell if a visual difference is a mistake or an intended enhancement.
That sounds like it could waste a lot of time chasing down non-bugs. It definitely can. Clear communication and documentation about GUI updates are absolutely vital to avoid that.
We mentioned open source tools. What about other popular ones in the industry?
Yeah, besides the ones like Selenium and AutoHotkey, the source also lists others like QTP, often called Micro Focus UFT now, Cucumber, Silk Test, TestComplete, and Squish GUI Tester.
So quite a range of tools out there, free and commercial.
Okay.
Bring this all together, it feels like GUI testing is way more than just, making things look pretty.
That's the absolute core message, yeah. A software's success really hinges on how users interact with it. Can they use it easily, intuitively?
And GUI testing ensures that.
It's fundamental to ensuring that positive experience. It drives adoption. And while manual testing has its place, automation is often key to doing it thoroughly and efficiently, especially with complex apps.
So for you listening, think about that last app you used, phone, computer, whatever. How much did the way it looked, the way it felt to interact with, affect your overall impression?
Did it make you want to keep using it? Or did some small visual glitch or confusing layout just put you off?
What tiny visual detail, maybe something you didn't consciously notice, could make or break your experience next time? Something to definitely think about.